And then Tiny was like, yeah, we're thinking about using you, but we just want to make sure you can bring it. You know, we want to make sure you can handle me. And I was like, okay. So I did the scene again, and he started like ad-libbing and talking mess to me, and I was just killing him. I was roasting him, and we were going back and forth and sparring, and they were laughing so hard. And I was like, I booked this. I was like, there's no way they can deny me with this role right here. Because all they had to do was give me permission to go.
That was this week's guest actress, Tanjareen Thomas, talking about having to go toe-to-toe with Tiny Lister during an audition. Tanjareen has an amazing story to tell, but first, you got to listen to her theme song.
It's time to sit down and relax for the good, the bad, and the sequel Q&A with your host, Doug.
Hey there, Doug here. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're staying safe. It's wild to think about that me and Tanjareen spoke right when all of this happened. It was like a week into the lockdown. I don't even know if the lockdown started yet, but it was insane to think about it. And going back and listening to the interview, it's like going through it again for me. And it was such a blast. I had a great time talking to her. We talked about how she started as an intern. She worked her way up fast, then started acting as a stand-in, doing so well at the line reads as she was booking the guest spots. And of course, we talked about JB Smoove, Larry David, when she was on one of my favorite episodes of all time of Curb Your Enthusiasm. Working with Omar Gooding on Family Time on BounceTV. Famous in Love, Zane's The Jump Off. Of course, the next sequel review that we're going to be doing, which is I Got the Hookup too. So much more. And I did sell Tanjareen a little short in that little teaser. She's not just an actress. She's a model, a content creator, comedienne. She's her own agent, a boxer, and of course, she's a host. She hosts 2 really hilarious shows that she has on all her social media channels and on YouTube. One is on Tuesdays. It's called Tanjareen's Top Talent. It's at 3 p.m. PST. And on Thursdays, it's called Shoot Your Shott, which is a hilarious dating show that you have to watch. That's at 3 o'clock PST as well. So make sure you check that out. And I'll put all those links to her YouTube channel, which has some hilarious sketches with her and her husband, Clayton Thomas. They are funny. And I love just the vibe of their show. I love sketch comedy, and you guys will love it too. So, and also I put all of her social media links in the episode notes as well, so you can check it out. Before I start this amazing interview, which I know you're going to love, if this is your first time here, welcome. Subscribe wherever you're listening, because we have some other amazing folks that I've interviewed that have really cool journeys on how they got to Hollywood and how they navigated their way. And they're all a lot of fun. It's my favorite thing I get to do. And then we review movie sequels that they're in. And it's such a blast with me and my co-host, Jamie. Now it's time for Tanjareen.
I'm doing great.
Awesome.
Thanks. Yay. So, yay. I set an alarm on my phone. I set a 6:15, didn't hear it. And then I let another one go off at 6:25. And I looked at my phone and said, oh, shoot, today's the day. So, hello.
Yeah, that's my wife in the morning. She's a teacher, and she sets like the 5 o'clock, the 5:15, the 5:18, the 5:20.
Yeah, you need them. Because if I had done that the other day, I would not have missed you, because I had no reason to look at my calendar. I normally look at it, several times throughout the day. But
don't worry, I'm in.
Look at it.
Yeah, I'm in Jersey, and we're in the same predicament, so don't worry about it.
Oh, I thought you were in San Jose. It's just the San Jose number.
Oh no, it's just the number for Zoom. No, I'm not in San. I'm in New Jersey.
Okay. So it's late out there.
Yeah. My daughter goes to bed at like 8 o'clock, so it's like the best time to do it.
Gotcha.
So yeah, so sweet. So like, what I like to do with this is be able to find out how people started, and then talk about little things along the way. So, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Inglewood, California, and I'm still here in Cali. Wait, before I go on, is this recorded and put online as is, or do you?
Oh no, okay, I make it pretty.
Got it. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
because you didn't like introduce me or like say anything.
Oh no.
So wait, what's happening?
Yeah. Okay. No, so what I do is I do like a little intro beforehand, and then I'll like bring it in. So yeah, no, I let people know who you are and everything.
Oh, okay. Hi, y'all. Sorry about that. So, yeah, I'm from Inglewood, California, and I'm born, bred, and fed here, West Side. And got my acting started right out of college when I did an internship at Paramount Pictures. And well, actually, I started acting when I was the school play. You know, I had to do. You know, how I used to do a school play in school while I was in the first grade, and that's when I fell in love with it when I was 6 years old. So I knew at 6 that I was going to be an actress, and I didn't start to do it for money, for a living, until I got the internship at Paramount Pictures, worked a couple shows for a couple seasons, and then quit, took a leap of faith so I could act full time.
Wow. So at 6 years old, you started, but even then, way back then, you were like, this is what I want to do forever. You had no other aspirations. It was like, I want to be on TV.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know if it was TV. I just knew that I had done the gingerbread man role in Hansel and Gretel. And I really liked the feeling of making everybody in the cafetorium laugh at my one little line. I wished I was Gretel, but she was related to the principal. And so I learned early what nepotism was. And then I said, well, let me do the best that I can with me hiding behind this big cardboard cutout gingerbread man. So I did the line, and I just really liked how it felt. And I was like, whatever this is that I'm doing, I want to do this for the rest of my life. So a couple grades later, this guy came up to the school offering some free acting classes after school. So I would stay after school and take the classes, and then we put on plays in the local play, the Inglewood Playhouse. So I just was doing free theater, and I just was like, I really love this. So I didn't really equate it to TV or film yet. I just knew I liked reading lines and making them come to life, and making people in the audience forget that they were having a bad day, and just, you know, kind of control their emotions and put them in a good mood. And then later I realized, oh, I can get paid for this. This is even better.
So if you ever have a biopic or write a book one day, it has to be like from something with the gingerbread man has to be in the title.
You're absolutely right. Because I probably wouldn't even remember to put that. You're absolutely right.
So that's cool. So what kind of job were you doing when you were interning at Paramount? What kind of jobs did they have you doing?
I was working for a daytime talk show, and we were the people who would try to find the topics and, you know, read the fan mail, read the letters of people that had ideas. And this was before emails were out. So it was like, you have to literally like open mail and read it and figure out if it's important enough to pass on to somebody, if it's a good enough idea to give to segment producers, if it's somebody asking for autographs. So I just kind of started there, and I came up with a new way to organize things that they hadn't thought of. And I just was like really, really going, like doing things out of the box. So I only did the internship for a few weeks, and then I got hired to be the assistant in the talent coordinating department. So then I started booking the talent and booking the celebrities. And then I started helping the travel coordinator book the flights and the hotels. So I didn't get to intern for that long, but no, I'm sorry. I'm mixing things up. I interned for that semester. Then I was one of the only ones that got hired to work there as a PA. I only PA'd for like 2 weeks, and then I got hired. That's how it went. I'm tripping. I forgot.
That's okay.
So yeah.
What show was that? Was that Home Team with Terry Bradshaw?
No, but I did work on that too.
I didn't know he had a talk show.
It was so short-lived. It was so short-lived. And it wasn't because, first of all, he's the greatest guy, because for him to be like a Hall of Famer and to be like, you know, a celebrity, he was so humble and so Southern. He didn't understand, like, you guys are sending this big old car, picking little of me up. Like, he was just so cool. But there was a lot of cooks in the kitchen for that show. So it was like, there was the production company, there was Planet Hollywood, there was, I think, Fox and Paramount. There were so many people making decisions, and nobody could figure out the direction of the show. And Terry was so new at hosting that he was still learning everything. So I think it only did that first season, and then we had to get the news as we were at work one day that we weren't coming back the next week. We're like, oh, all right, pack your stuff. But yeah. No, it was another show. I usually don't say the names of the show.
Oh, no, it's fine.
That I started in, just because if I tell you I worked on Mary Tyler Moore, then you'll be like, holy cow, she's 65 years old.
Oh, that's
so
true.
You know, I don't.
Oh, that's great. So you take the leap of faith. What was your first avenue that you went to start, you know, off on your own act?
Well, when I was working as a talent coordinator at Paramount, I used to get auditions that I would hear about from people that worked on the lot or in the office with me. So I would take a long lunch break and go run and do an audition and be all stressed out because I'm like, okay, I got to change clothes in the car. I got to put on some makeup. I got to get back before they notice I'm gone. And it was like that whole little struggle. So it was just auditioning while doing that job full time. And it's at some point I booked a speaking part, and then I was able to like get off work for that. And then I started working on a different show, City Guys. It was a daytime Saturday morning NBC show. I was a stand-in. And I started to, and a stand-in, if you don't know, is the person that just kind of, it's different for film and for TV. For film, you stand in spots so that the cameras can light that actor later. And then you walk the way the actor would walk around the set. And then the real actor comes in and fills in for you. You filled in for them, obviously you stood in for them, but then you come back and tell the actor, okay, this is the blocking, this is what you do. And the actor does their thing. In TV, when you're on a sitcom as a stand-in, you're actually playing all the co-star and guest star parts until they cast that person. So I would come in and get to work on my acting chops every week. You read the script at the table read. You would pretend to be these other characters for the producer and the network run-throughs. And then when they would hold their auditions, that person would get booked. And then you would tell that person, hey, this is what we did in rehearsals. This is what you're going to do.
Oh,
well,
wow.
I was fortunate enough to end up being a stand-in who also would book some of those co-star roles because they would hire somebody to do it. And then when that person would show up, they would go, you know what, we actually like the way Tanjareen did it all week. Let's go ahead and send that person home. Let Tanjareen do it. So I ended up doing 11 or 13 episodes of City Guys just because they knew me and I was comfortable on the set and I was what they were looking for. And I was the one who worked it all out all week. And then, I already had the chemistry with the cast. So my first acting was really recurring on City Guys because I started as a stand-in on City Guys.
That's pretty cool. So, a lot of things like from the way you started with your internship, town coordinating, like a lot of people that I've talked to, they don't, just the way you described that, I've never talked to anybody that did that. That's pretty fascinating that they would rely on you to be able to tell the person they hired. And then you were so good at that. And sometimes they'd be like, send the people home. Cause I'm looking at it right now. There's like so many different roles that you did that were different.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
I was recurring as a character named Rachel on the show. She was a basketball player, but then they needed somebody to be a cheerleader and they didn't like the girl they booked. So then they ended up changing her name to my name, which was already Rachel, and making her be the same person. And then I came back to be somebody's girlfriend. They didn't like the girl that they were going to use for that. So they changed her name to Rachel and let me do that. But then they needed voiceovers for certain things like an answering service call or, just all these little bit parts. So it just ended up, they're like, oh, you be China in this episode. So yeah, I changed my wig and I'd be a different person. But yeah, it was a nice little secret that we had going on. It was fun.
It was a really cool clip on like your acting reel was the one with you and Robert Wool on Arliss.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That is cool.
That was fun. And I actually just got another residual check from that last week, which is crazy because it's such a long time ago. But I guess they put the show back on HBO recently. So people are watching it and I'm still getting paid from it. So thanks, y'all.
That is awesome. So then still there's a lot of shows that you have little parts on. You have VIP, Steve Harvey, NYPD Blue. At what point in your career, because you're still, doing these parts, how long did it take that you were like, obviously at 6 years old, you knew, hey, this is what I want to do. You didn't know if it was going to be, on screen or on stage. At what part were you like, this is something that I know I can do for the rest of my life?
I decided when I was doing those bit parts, my mind never changed. When I was 6, I said, this is what I want to do. My mom said, you still got to go to college. And I said, okay, fine. So I majored in entertainment stuff. I majored in radio, television, and film production and management because I said, okay, if I'm going to go to college, even though I know I'm going to be an actor, let me learn something behind the scenes so that I can understand all aspects and understand how all the parts move and maybe have my own production company one day, as long as I still get to act. I can hire myself. I can hire other people of color. I can get scripts made of people of color, but I'm not going to deter from that idea. And there was a split second because I always give people such great advice and I'm really a good listener and I'm really fair that I was like, oh, I'll just go major in psychology. But everybody was like, well, you can't really do anything with psychology as a BA. You've got to go on and get your PhD for it to really make you any money. And I was like, never mind. Back to radio, TV, and film. So I stayed with that goal. I got my degree from Cal State Northridge, and I've never wavered, even when work was slow and I had to start off doing background work and which was really great. A lot of people were like, I would never do background work, but I actually was union when I did it. I made good money. I got my health. If you have to make a certain amount of money in the union before you can be covered with health care.
Yeah.
So as a background actor, I was making enough to get my health care. I was meeting all these other actors who were leads on shows that I still have good friendships with to this day. I was meeting these great directors. I wasn't just showing up and hating it and keeping my head down and reading a book and not really meeting anybody. I was networking my ass off. So I really had a good time. And my mind was made up way, way, way back when I was doing those bit parts.
That's awesome. So the first time that I remembered you, and then when I reached out to you, because I think I probably reached out to your agent, but a lot of times they go into like junk mail when I think it was like probably 6-7 months ago. So
wow,
so, yeah, but no. So it was cool that I was able to connect with you. But I remembered you as soon as I like looked through the people that were in it, because I interviewed Tiny Lister, but we talked more like about like the Friday franchise. But I remembered you from Curb Your Enthusiasm. And that is like one of my favorite episodes ever.
Oh, yeah. I love Larry. I was so scared to work on that show because he just seems like such a mean asshole. And I got the audition. It was really cool because it was like no sides. And sides are the little couple pages of scripts that, you're auditioning with. So there were no sides. When I got there, they just said, just pretend this is happening. And then they filmed me like reacting to something. And I was like, wow, that was a weird audition. And the next thing you know, they told me I booked it. And I was like, oh, okay. And still, they never sent me a script. They never sent me scenarios.
Oh, wow.
So I showed up to set with no idea what was going to happen. And I was so nervous. And then, like I said, I thought Larry David was this like really grumpy asshole. So I was just like, oh my God, this is going to be like so hard for me because I love the show, but I'm scared of the lead actor. But I'm friends with JB Smoove because I watched his journey and we've been friends for a really long time. And, he's hilarious on the show. So I was excited to learn that my scenes were going to be with him. And actually had another scene with him that never aired that was so funny that JB just kept making Larry laugh. Because he goes on and on and on, and Larry kept breaking character. And I was wearing Larry David's shirt inside Larry's house, and Larry David comes home and he's like talking to JB Smoove in the hallway. And then finally I peek my head out like, come on, you coming back to bed? My juices are drying up or something like that. And then Larry's like, wait, you brought her here? Like, what is she doing here? Is that my shirt? Is she in my bedroom? Like, it's that kind of thing, but it didn't make it. But it ended up being a great experience because he was super nice to me. He talked to me between takes and he was just really genuinely warm. And I was like, oh my God, he's nothing like I thought he was going to be. And I'm so grateful for booking this. And people like every month hit me up saying, is this you on Curb Your Enthusiasm? So it was a good booking.
That's good. Yeah, no, I've interviewed people that have booked it the first time, but then other people that didn't know that was going to happen. Like this one guy I interviewed, he first time he went for the audition, he thought he was going to get something like you said, and he got nothing. So they basically said, okay, blank. And he was like, so then the next time he went in, they were like, okay, so pretend Larry hit your car. He wants you to do a favor for him. And then he was able, because he knew what happened the first time, he was a little bit prepared, but that could be overwhelming if you're thinking you're going to go in there and have something to read, but you crushed it. And that is my favorite episode because Leon, I thought he was going to be gone. And then the end of that episode's the best because he's holding the Panda Express. Larry says, oh, well, they left. And he goes, what are you going to do? He's like, I'm going to go upstairs and eat my fucking Chinese food.
And he's been on the show ever since. And it's like, that's an iconic episode because I literally am the reason that the black finally moved out of Larry's house. But JB Smoove is like, I'm not going nowhere, motherfucker. And he's still on the show.
And they have such great chemistry. The last season was so good. And and then from there, it looked like everything a couple of years later, like 2013, you have Zane's The Jump Off, The Rev. There's like a lot of things on there. It seems like that was a time that things changed for you.
Oh, and I also want to say, because you brought up Tiny Lister, I thought you were going to bring up the fact that I worked with him on a show.
You did? What show?
To say Curb Your Enthusiasm. The Rev, which there are clips of it on my website, tanjareen.com. If you click on videos, there's clips of me working on The Rev, which was a pilot. We shot 4 episodes, and it was starring Jo Marie Payton. She's the mom from Family Matters.
Oh, yeah.
It starred Tiny Lister as Joe's son, and I was Joe. I'm sorry. Tiny was Jo Marie Payton's son, and I was the daughter of the show. So Tiny's big ass was my brother, and he was always in and out of jail. And the hook to the show was that we had a adopted white brother, and the white brother was a washed up rock and roll star who inherited a church in Vegas. And so we all moved to Vegas to help him run this church. And it's crazy because this show didn't get picked up, but then the show that Cedric the Entertainer did a couple, I think was it on the Nickelodeon channel? Cedric the Entertainer and Wesley Johnson did a show. I think it might have been called Soul Man or something. I don't know why I can't think of it, but it was almost the same premise. Cedric the Entertainer was like a R&B star, and then he ended up running a church and having his family had to adapt. And I was like, oh, they passed on ours. And then a couple years later, somebody got the great idea to do it with a whole nother group of people, but they didn't have a white guy. But yeah, the white guy was the producer. He was the creator, and he had already made a movie version of the show. And then he went to these other producers and asked them to make a TV show. So me and Tiny Lester were siblings on that show. And it was really funny.
What was it like was that the first time you met him, like on set of that?
Yes, it was. It was. Actually, I met him in the audition. I went to the first audition. I thought I did a pretty cool job. I came back for the callback, and with the callback, you have the producers and the actors and different people in the room, and Tiny was in the room, and I thought I did a cool job again. I went back and got to my car, and then the casting director called me and said, "Can you come back in here?" And I was like, okay, I hope this is a good sign. So I went back in, and then Tiny was like, "Yeah, we're thinking about using you, but we just want to make sure you can bring it. You know, we want to make sure you can handle me." And I was like, okay. So I did the scene again, and he started like ad-libbing and talking mess to me, and I was just killing him. I was roasting him, and we were going back and forth and sparring, and they were laughing so hard. And I was like, I booked this. I was like, there's no way they can deny me with this role right here. Because all they had to do was give me permission to go. And they started off with, "You better not back down." And I was like, I got this. And that was my first time meeting him.
That is so cool. He left me a voicemail when we were like coordinating our time. So he wasn't good with like email. So he left me I missed a call, and it's like, "Hey Doug, it's Tiny, call me back." So then I was telling my wife, I'm like, I'm like nervous to call him Tiny. Because I'm like, this guy is like, you've seen him in so many things. He's just like this, like an evil, like when I talked to him, I'm like, his music in Friday, it's like the Jaws theme. Like he is like so scary, so menacing in those movies, but he was such a nice guy.
Yeah, he's a big old teddy bear, for sure. Big old teddy bear.
That is awesome. So yeah, so then right around the same time, Zane's The Jump Off was another show.
Yes.
It's like 15, 16 episodes. So that's a lot you were doing that year.
Yeah, I was the leading lady on that. It was a show about the 5 frat brothers who are now grown-ups and how they navigate through life and relationships. And one of them was a retired football player who owned a nightclub called The Jump Off. And that character was my boyfriend on the show. And he was the lead, and I was the leading lady. And his name is Eamon Joseph, and he's now a series regular on the show Snowfall on FX.
Oh, nice.
So, but he and I had been friends for at least 6 or 7 years before I even did The Jump Off. So we already had a great chemistry, and they kept calling me to audition for that show. And I was like, I'm not interested because there's nudity and I don't really want my career to go that way. And I kept turning him down. And then finally, Eamon himself called me and said, "You know what? I think you'd be great for this. And, you know, you and I know each other really well. We have a chemistry. I think we'll be comfortable with one another. Would you please come and audition?" And when I got to the audition, he was in the room, and we were able to just really, like, again, I could ad-lib, I could be comfortable, and they could see that we got along really well. So I ended up booking that and working with Eamon, and it was great because some of the stuff was shot in Miami. So they flew us out there to do it. And it was, it was a really cool experience.
That's cool. So that's the thing that's great about this, like talking to people, is like this is something you want to do at the age of 6, and then you're getting flown out to Miami. You're able to do all these, act with people, all those connections, like you said, you're able to make over the years. It makes it that much easier. You're like, oh, that guy's. My
first trip out of the country was acting. So you're absolutely right. Like getting to go to Miami, some Nigerians wanted me to do a movie for them. And I was like, Nigerian movies suck. I don't want to do one of those. They don't pay anything. And then somebody that I knew personally who lived out here, who was Nigerian, who was directing something, was like, well, would you just please do my movie? And I was like, I don't want to. But I did his movie. Then he asked me to do another movie. And when I did the second movie, I met a celebrity actor who who lived in London who was making his own movie, who said, well, will you come to London and do my movie? And I was like, if you pay for it, I'll go. So they put me up, they flew me out. I got my passport ready, and Nigerians are not organized. So they were so slow on set. And I was only supposed to be out there for a couple of weeks, and they weren't done with me. And a couple of nights before I was supposed to leave, they were like, we have to finish this movie. We are not bringing her back. We have to finish. We have to finish. They didn't finish. So I flew back home, and then they flew me back out there like the next month. And I got my second trip to London on them. So I was like, this acting thing is really cool.
Yeah.
And I've never saw the movie, but I don't care because I had them pay me in pounds because I know those were worth twice as much as $1 at the time. And I had a great little time.
That is awesome. Look at that. You knew what to get instead of the right currency. That's good.
Yeah.
So one thing that on here is pretty cool. So how did you get into, obviously, I'm sure you obviously have an agent and somebody says, hey, you'd be perfect for this. But you were the voice on the Grand Slams.
Yeah. I've done about, I don't know, maybe 26, 27 commercials as the egg for the Grand Slams, which is an animated, I don't know if it's considered animated. They call it stop motion, but it's puppets that they animate and our voices go with the puppets. But I was the egg. There was bacon, hash brown, coffee, toast. I think a bacon burger came in for a guest star as my boyfriend. Like, it was just so much fun because it's written by the guys who do Robot Chicken.
Oh,
and
sweet.
so that's a really edgy kind of show as it is. And we had an episode that was kind of like The Hangover, where we all woke up sleeping on the Denny's counter because most of our episodes took place on the countertops of a table in Denny's. We woke up and nobody remembered what happened the night before. And Pancake had a tooth missing and he had white stuff coming like out of his face, and it was like, oh my God, did he do drugs? So then we flashed back and showed what happened the night before and why all the Grand Slams were loaded. Like, it was a really fun job, and it was not for kids, but kids could enjoy it. But it was awesome. It went for like 4 years.
That's awesome. I gotta check that out. I'm a big fan of Dan Lippert. He's a really good improviser. He was the Pancake.
Yeah, I met him on that. Yeah. He wrote some of them too.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. So like I said in the email to you, and I was not kidding, there's so much, you got to think, I'm not going to ask you how old you are, but like me growing up, there was like obviously cable, like my dad had the illegal black box. So like we used to see like all of the channels, but still even then, even with those channels, there was like one HBO, like HBO East and West, Cinemax, Showtime. There wasn't like as much, just think of how many channels there are now. And like when when I was doing research for you, and I'm like, Family Time, let me check that out. And then I'm like, me personally, I've never heard of BounceTV, but then I click on the people in it. I'm like, I grew up. It's so weird to see Omar Gooden, even though I'm a dad now. It's weird to see him as a dad because I remember Wild and Crazy Kids, hanging with Mr. Cooper. Like, there's so many things that I love him on. And you and his back and forth are so great on that show.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. You sound like you're not Black. I'll just say that. And the Bounce channel is an African American centered channel, and it's only been out we were their first scripted show. Oh, okay. So the year that we launched is the same year that the channel launched, and it was created by Ambassador Andrew Young, Martin Luther King III, and the producer filmmaker Will Packer. Three of them came up with the channel. Then Will Packer at some point stepped away from it. And then after a few seasons, the whole network started creating its own shows. And then it finally got bought out by Scripps. And Scripps owns a lot of huge networks. So now we have more eyes on us, and we're on multi-platforms like online and all this different stuff. But yeah, Omar and I are like Pam and Martin on the show Martin. Yeah. We just go back and forth. We make fun of each other. Half of the time spent on set is me talking with the writers to come up with more weird, mean names to call him besides what's already in the script, because we never do the same take twice. So if you guys could see the outtakes, and I wish I could get my hold of the last 2 seasons, because we say the script stuff the first take. Then one of us clowns the other one really bad on the second take, but we don't know what the other person's about to say. So we're already loaded behind our mind with what we're going to say if he says something at this part. But you never know. So you just have to have a whole lot of roast just piled up and ready to the point where I think we shouldn't be friends. Like we are so mean to each other on set. We should hate each other, but we really love each other. It's the craziest job ever, but we have so much fun.
That is so cool. Is that filmed in front of a live studio audience?
It's not. It's owned. Okay, so the guy who produced and wrote and directed our show Family Time is the same guy, Bentley Kyle Evans. I love him so much for keeping me working because we've already shot 8 seasons of this show. He's also the same guy who produced and directed the show The Rev that I was saying I was in with Joe Marie Payton and Tiny Lester. He's also the guy who helped create the show Martin and the show The Jamie Foxx Show. He's got some great sitcoms under his belt, and now he bought his own studio called Harvest Studios in Northridge, and it's his own soundstage with multiple sets, and he just puts his own content there. But we don't do an audience. It's not. I don't even see a space where we could have a huge audience. We just invite family and friends for the laughs or whatever, but we don't shoot in order. So an audience wouldn't enjoy it because we might shoot per location. Like, let's shoot everything that's in the living room today and let's shoot everything that's in the kitchen this day. You know what I mean? So our audience will be like, what's going on? So yeah, we don't shoot in front of an audience, but we have some people that come through and just let us know if it's funny or not.
That's cool. That's really cool. No, the network's good. There's other good movies on there. And like, I'm like, oh, that's cool.
There's always a Wesley Snipes movie on. I don't know why they find all these Wesley Snipes movies. You can see a good old, like a old Whoopi Goldberg movie, or they threw the old Dolomite on recently. They do this thing called Brown Sugar Saturdays, where they throw a blaxploitation movie up on Saturdays. So you'll see all of your favorite, whatever. What year was blaxploitation? The 70s, I guess. All those 70s black movies will come on on Saturdays.
No, when I searched for the show on Google, it gave me the option for like Amazon, and on Amazon you just said Brown Sugar. There's like a Brown Sugar channel on Amazon. Yeah.
That's their app, and that's their app where you can watch all of the movies or our shows. It's like $3.99 a month or something.
That's awesome. So is it in the works for like more seasons that are going to be coming out?
Yeah, they actually, even though we already shot season 8 and it hasn't aired yet, it's supposed to premiere in October. They just called me last week and said, "Hey, we're about to get in the writers' room and pitch some more ideas for season 9. So let us know if you have any ideas for your character Rachel." Which, ironically, I played Rachel on the show City Guys, and now I'm playing Rachel on this show Family Time. So yeah, even though we're all on a lockdown, they are starting to pitch ideas for season 9 because they want to make sure they get their 100 episodes. And I think we left off at 80 something.
Oh yeah. No, that's big to get to 100. So what was it like meeting Salt and Peppa?
It was legendary. It was so cool, especially because not only did I meet them, but I got to play like them on the show. Which one was I? The light hair is not Salt. Okay, I was Peppa. And the girl who plays my sister on the show, Angel Conwell, she's also leading right now on the show Bigger on BET. She was on Young and the Restless. She was in the movie Baby Boy, playing opposite Omar Gooding as boyfriend and girlfriend, which is crazy because then they dated in real life for like 4 years. And now they're playing husband and wife on Family Time, if I may take you down that whole little tree.
Wow.
But yeah, so she is my sister on the show Family Time. Actually, she's the lead. I'm her sister. And she was playing the role of Salt. I was playing the role of Peppa. So we got to dress up like them, put the wigs on, try to do the dance moves like them. And then they were in the episode with us telling us, no, that's not how we do it. This is how we do it. And so it was just a lot of fun to meet them because obviously we all know their music. They're international, rap stars. So it was super cool. It was super, super cool.
That is awesome. So I got the hookup too. The first one came out, I think it was kind of almost 20 years before that, or like 97, I think the first one came out.
Yeah, it was 20 years exactly when they started shooting the sequel. So it came out 21 years later. Wow. I think it's 99 that it came out. And I was told that Master P just wanted to make sure that he was still creating content and creating things that he could leave to his family because he has a bunch of kids and he wanted to make sure that he, just creates generational wealth. So he decided to make a bunch of movies, starting with the sequel to that classic, I Got the Hookup, which was cool because a lot of the characters from the original came back for the sequel.
Yeah.
So it's crazy though, because the script for the sequel, from what the casting director told me, it had 101 characters in it. And this is not normal for a comedy. Like 101 characters, you expect it to be an action film. You expect them to have gone overseas, being Fast and Furious and, fight scenes or something. But it's just a comedy, guys. Like, I don't know how or why they put that many characters in it, but I was grateful to be one of the ones they added. Yeah. So I was the lead guy's baby mama Bree. And it was fun because it was just a fun set, because it was so many different social media creators on set. It was so many comedians. I felt like I was walking into a hip hop music video every time I showed up to work, because it would just be a bunch of Black dudes in nice tennis shoes standing around, drinking something with some music playing. I'm like, where am I? Like, I get to go to work. I feel like I'm in my old neighborhood. This is crazy. So, but yeah, it was fun.
No, I'm growing up, like I loved listening to Master P growing up, and that movie it was like, obviously Ice Cube was super successful, and there's other people that made the transition, like Ice-T. Look at him, he's been on. Geez, I think that show's on for like another, I think they just signed like another 5 or 10 year deal. It'll be on forever. It would Yeah, the fact that Ice-T is an actor, like a respected actor on a drama, is amazing to me, and I don't even know if the young kids or teens even realize that he has no business doing that kind of job. He was literally a pimp. He was literally like talking down about the police, and now he is part of the police force. It's crazy. That is funny. Tiny, Tiny is like not one of his earliest movies, but that's where he met Ice Cube and Ice-T on a movie with like William Sadler, Bill Paxton. I can't think of the name of it, but he was telling me like the first time he met Ice-T and Ice Cube. But yeah, Master P, that's so cool that he was able to make another movie. And like you said, when you scroll through the IMDb, there's definitely over 100 people, because it takes a long time to get through it. And that's insane. Yeah,
there's a lot of us. And I honestly, the script, it took some turns, and it gets kind of crazy from what they originally wrote. And then when they edited it, it went to a whole nother direction. And then I was flattered that they called me back and said, hey, Master P really liked you. Can you come back, and we're going to write another scene just to have you come back? And they wrote 2 more scenes for me. I showed back up to set. Again, felt like a music video, a bunch of people standing outside. I actually put this on my YouTube live stream, so it's still there. I have behind the scenes footage of a bunch of people just standing around. And a lot of the people that were watching in the comments were like, oh my God, is that such and such? Oh, I love this guy's work. Da, da, da. Like, I don't even know who all the social media stars are, but I came back in. I did 2 more scenes, and they added a few other scenes with people. So the script just goes kind of all over the place, but we're all just grateful to be a part of history. And a lot of people have hit me up and said they actually really liked the movie and thought it was really funny. And I'm like, hey, well then you're the target audience. You liked it. I love it. Thank you so much. And I'm all forever grateful for Master P for giving me a shot, because a lot of people auditioned for this movie. And even though they had a lot to cast, a lot of people didn't get in it. So I'm grateful.
That's cool. Tiny was telling me that they're already going to do a 3rd one. I don't know when, but
I don't doubt it, because if you watch that movie,
we're going to be watching it soon. Yeah.
The end credits show you that he's about to make so many other movies. Like, he shows you a little snippet of all these. I swear there's at least 9 other movies that he's about to do that are based on some of these characters in this movie. I'm like, holy cow. So I'm not surprised if there's going to be a 3rd I Got the Hookup. I'm not surprised at all.
That's awesome. So is there anything, obviously we couldn't touch everything you've done in your career. Is there any roles that you really enjoyed that we didn't talk about? I'm sure there's a few, but.
Let's see. I really liked doing the show Famous in Love. That was a dramatic show that I shot at Warner Brothers Studios. And I was excited because I'm a huge Entourage fan. And Mrs. Ari Parker was it Ari Parker? Ari Gold.
Ari Gold,
Mrs.
yeah.
Ari. Okay, Mrs. Ari's character was on this show, and I got to work with her.
Cool.
It's called Famous in Love, and it's kind of like a teen drama on the Freeform channel, even though it's a Warner Brothers Studios production. But I played a deep, dark character with a secret. And when I went to this audition, I was not sure what my character was up to, and it was only like a 1-page audition. And I didn't really have a lot of backstory, and the cast director didn't have a lot of backstory either. So I read it. I thought nothing of it. They said she's probably a cocktail waitress. So I went in there like a little skimpy top and a skirt. I read my lines. I went home. And then when I found that I booked it, they started to develop this character more and more with each episode. I would get another script and be like, oh my gosh. So I ended up having a great secret. I ended up being a recurring character, and it was a lot of fun. And I lived across the street practically from Warner Brothers Studios. So it would take me 60 seconds to pull from my garage to their parking structure. So it was just a really cool time. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on Ari Gold's mom.
Her real name? Perry Reeves.
Thank you. Perry was amazing. And Vanessa Williams was in the show as well. And I got to work with her. And my main person I worked with was Keith Powers, and he was in the New Edition movie and a bunch of other stuff. He's the new heartthrob that people love right now. So it was just a great experience, not just because it was close to my house, but because it was a major studio and because I had auditioned for 3 characters before I finally got that one on that show. I just kept reaching out to casting saying, hey, I noticed in the breakdowns you're looking for this. Can I read for that? Hey, can I read for this? And they just kept giving me a shot. I was being my own agent this year, and I was hustling my ass off because one thing I know is that agents get 10% of your money, so they only do 10% of the work. They rely on you to build a relationship. They rely on you to be hot, and then they just come in and grab some money from that. So I was emailing and calling and doing what I could to get into this casting room. And then I didn't get the first part. And then I hit him back and said, hey, who ended up getting that part? It was Vanessa Williams. I'm like, oh, well, she's got a bigger track record than me. I totally understand. I went in and read another role. Didn't get that one. All right, fine. I said, hey, can you tell I really want to be on the show? I see this role. Can I read the third time? And when I read the third time and it became recurring, and then I ended up getting to do a scene with Vanessa Williams, I was like, wow, look how everything comes full circle. Because now I get to actually work with her. So it was great. It was a great, great experience.
Wow, you're a hustler, and you saved the 10%. So what made you want to do that?
Yes.
Just, I guess you realized that, like, hey, I'm not getting enough phone calls. I'm gonna have to start pounding the pavement myself.
Yeah, well, most of my roles do come from my own relationships. I've taken a lot of actor marketing classes and a lot of actor business classes, and I'm from LA, so most of the people I've seen come out here, try it for a few years, and go back home. Like, this is my home. So I met almost everybody in Black Hollywood for sure. And then I'm, meeting a lot of people in mainstream Hollywood. But I know for a fact that when I reach out to somebody and I actually reach out, not just from a desperate place of, I need a job, please hire me, but from a place of, you know what, I'm really good at this. And I see you're looking for someone who can do that. How about we partner and let's make some money together? If I come with them from a place of what I can offer them, adding value, I usually am able to get my foot in the door, show them, hey, you might not have heard of me, but look at all these credits, look at my reels, look at my look. Let's see how we can work together because I'm pretty sure I can be an asset. I'm really professional. I'm punctual. How can I help you? I'm a producer, so I know what you need. I'm going to make sure that I'm an asset and not, a liability. Let's work. And that's pretty much how most of my stuff has come to me.
Wow. Did you ever think about one day like directing it all? Because all the ins and outs, it seems.
You know what? I respect directors too much. I'm a content creator. So anybody who's listening, I would love it if they looked me up on YouTube and Facebook because I do put out really funny sketches and I work much more consistently on my own work than I do on TV shows. And I've actually got way more fans. Like when I walk through the airport, my husband is a comedian and an actor and a content creator as well. His name is Clayton Thomas. When we walk through an airport, people recognize us. Even when we were overseas in January, we went to London, Paris, and Rome. People recognize us overseas in airports, not from all the TV stuff that I've done, but from the freaking videos that we put up on Facebook and YouTube. Awesome. So I say all that to say that I produce and write and I light the shot and I do all that. But when it comes to real directing, because I direct my sketches, but if it was to be TV or film with all the lenses and all the different things, I would much rather hire directors for that because I respect the hell out of somebody who went to school for it, who really understands the aspect ratio and different lighting and just all that mumbo jumbo talk about what it takes to make it look a certain way. I much rather produce it, put the fires out, hire the right team, let everything go through me to say, no, do it this way, do it that way. No, talk to your director about this. Like I love putting it all together, but I would rather hire a real director when it's not my content that I'm putting online.
You know, it'd be awesome. Another like sketch kind of show. There's not a lot of sketch shows out. It'd be cool if you had your own sketch show, like a regular, like on some network, especially that there is so many networks out nowadays. That'd be pretty cool.
There is a lot. Because there's actually there's a new show called the Black Lady Sketch Show that just is on one of these network channels. My friend Robin Thede created it. And then there's another one whose name I can't think of, but it's also on a major network, and it is an urban sketch show. So they got a couple new ones that they're in their first season right now, and let's see how they do. But I know that ever since Mad TV and In Living Color, they haven't really given sketch shows a lot of seasons and like a lot of love. And they've tried their best to like remake these things, but they don't make it. So we'll see how these two new ones do.
I used to love that as a kid. You watch like the first like 30 minutes of Mad TV and then like flip back and forth and then put on SNL and then In Living Color.
Yeah, because how ballsy is that they would put them on in the same time zone?
I know.
You know what I mean? It's like out of all the days of the week and all the times, you guys are going head to head. Like that was ballsy.
I know. I don't know why people do stuff. But yeah, I know what I'll be doing later. I'll be watching your YouTube channel and checking out some of your content.
Please do, because it's fun.
One question before I let you go. Is there a particular, like, because obviously of your sketch work, but like film-wise, acting-wise, is there a particular genre that you, like if you could be a lead, like a big-time, big-budget movie, is there like a genre that you'd love to be a lead in?
Action comedy. I love kicking ass. I actually need to post up some of my fight stunt reels. I'm a professionally trained boxer. I used to be on a show called Perfect 10 Model Boxing, and there's like a clip of that on my YouTube page, but I've been taking action stunt classes, and I would just love to be like the female Chris Rock in a Rush Hour type of movie, or just something like the movie Salt, but with comedy. Like I want to kick somebody's ass and then like say a funny line after it. I think that's amazing. But I want to do that on my off days, because my full-time goal is a sitcom in front of a live audience on a hit network. So I want to do that throughout the year, but on our hiatus weeks, I want to be shooting a kick-ass action comedy. I don't want much, man.
Not much, but you deserve it. Honestly, from 6 years old, from Gingerbread Man, and look at what you're doing now. And like, honestly, you definitely want it because you're an advocate for yourself, and that's huge.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you very much.
Well, it was great talking to you. Thank you so much for taking the time. When I get this out there, I'll make sure to shoot it over to you, and I'll put all the links to all your stuff so people can check you out, because they should. And I'll be spending the next few hours. Well, I usually don't sleep and study, and I'll be checking out some of your content.
Thank you so much, Douglas. This was great. I had fun because I forgot half the stuff I've been through until I just said it to you. So thank you so much for these questions. It was awesome.
Oh, cool. You know, it's cool. Everybody I talk to afterwards, obviously people have to be nice enough because they're not getting paid to take the time to talk to me. And I'm telling you, there's so many people I've talked to at the end. They're like, they say the same exact thing. They're like, I totally forgot about that time that I was on blank. Because some of the people I talk to are, 70 years old. And some of the roles I'm asking them about is from like, hey, do you remember in 1967 when you're in that film with Frank Sinatra? And they're like, not really. But
oh, that's awesome though. But yeah, man, you scrolled all the way down to the bottom of my IMDb with these
I love
questions.
that.
So I'm just like, oh shoot, that's right. I did do that. So thank you, man. Thanks a bunch.
You know what I like? My favorite part about doing this is not about like the big roles that you were in. Obviously, it's fun to talk about that, but like the journey to where you got that first role. I think that's the coolest thing because everybody has like those stories that I've talked to. Some people did acting, like this one guy I interviewed. The only reason he got into acting was there was a girl that he liked in his college class, and he found out he followed her, and it sounds kind of creepy, but he like kind of followed her. She was like going for an audition. And he's like, I'm going to go to the audition. And then instead of him talking to her, they pulled him on stage. They gave him like a script, and somehow he got the part. And now he's been in like over 200 credits. He's been acting for like 30, 40 years. And he's like, I didn't really, at the time he didn't want to do it. And then he fell in love with it. But I love that story, finding out like why people are.
Yeah, that's a funny story. I feel like I've seen that in movies and stuff, but that's cool that it happened to somebody in real life.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, enjoy the rest of your night. Hopefully you're passing the time pretty well, hanging at home. Yeah,
I haven't strangled my husband to death yet, so we're doing okay because we're stuck in the house together. But we actually have binged a lot of shows. I've been cooking 3 meals a day like a real housewife, and he's loving that. So hope he doesn't get too used to it, because the second we can go back to work, I'm going to be back in these streets shooting comedy and telling him to order something from with his favorite restaurant.
That's
so yeah,
awesome.
we're okay for now.
That's good.
So, yeah, thanks so much, Douglas.
Yeah, wasn't Tanjareen awesome? I love the story about her audition for Famous in Love. And that's why I love everything about her and her passion. It's something that anybody listening to this, or even myself, I need that. I need to follow that in my own life, because no matter what it is, Hollywood, a job, a normal job, anything, just make sure you reach out and take it, because nobody's going to just give you anything. Just her. She was like, oh, I want that role. She auditioned for it. Somebody took it. Okay. How about this one? I'll do that one. Okay. What about this one? And look where she is now. And I really admire that about her. And Tanjareen, thank you for taking the time if you're listening to this. And I look forward to your biography titled From Gingerbread Man to Movie Star. And don't forget that your homework is to watch I Got the Hookup too. I know it's on Amazon Prime. And there's probably a few other places you can watch it, but I love the original. I haven't watched the sequel yet. And don't forget to review, rate, share our podcast, follow us on all social media at Sequels Only. And we have an awesome website, sequelsonly.com. Good night.